All right, John.
No, there's no fair March 26th. Take 17.
Excellent.
Take 17.
No, take 32.
Take 32.
Hey, we already
did it, John. What do we do here, John?
We talk about autism, sports, movies, and political matters.
And political matters. That's
Hey,
right.
John, you actually almost hit the nail on the head with that last one.
That's right. Exactly.
Isn't that right, Tom?
I think that is correct.
Take 17 on.
So we get together here every Friday, and we throw a subject out, and we just discuss it for about 20 minutes, and then we sign off. John will sign us off with his special thing. Don't sign off yet. And then we move on, and they edit it, and we put it out on our YouTube channel. And
great.
So there is edits.
It's a lot of fun. Yeah. Well, yeah. Don't tell all our secrets.
Well, I'm glad to be here.
Yeah, we're really glad you're here, Representative Freeman. We really are. Thank you. Some of the guys you met with, I believe, Brad and Riley and Matt.
I think it was just Matt.
Yeah,
It was just me.
Just Matt.
Just Matt.
It was just me.
Disability Day on the Hill. And I believe I was on a couple of them with you or one or something. I don't know, but it was great. It was a great day.
Yeah.
And we might have some questions for you. I didn't want to put you in the political hot box today. It's a beautiful Friday afternoon in Nashville. And so I thought we'd just have something, talk about something fun.
Okay.
They may have some hardball questions for you. Never know. But I wanted to know, you're a native Nashvilleian.
I am.
Right? You and I both were born and raised. That's a weird.
Yes. Couple of unicorns.
That's right. And
Hey, my mom's one too.
that's right.
All right.
We went to high
Most
school
of us
together.
are still here. We're just deluded.
We're deluded.
So many more people moving to town. So.
That's a good word. We're deluded.
Yeah.
Okay. I've been
It's
called a
like
lot of
deluded
things. I like I'll be called deluded. Yeah. I want to talk today about old Nashville, new Nashville.
Sure.
You know, I mean, I don't know if you want to say I'm really old, so I was
46.
All right, I'm almost 60 this year.
Okay.
I know, John. Don't. But I was born in the early 60s, and so it's a lot different than the early 60s. What's the biggest change you've seen from the time you were a young man growing up in Nashville to getting over here, other than the traffic?
Well, traffic's hard to miss.
Yeah.
But one of the things that especially in the last 5 or 6 years with the growth, are green spaces around our city that have been green my whole life. Are now getting developed.
Yeah.
And the concern that I have as an environmentalist and someone that cares deeply about our city and our state is we should be doing a little bit more to make sure that we're preserving and with some intentional growth and stuff around town.
Give me one that really ticks you off.
Oh,
what's a place that's going away that really makes you mad?
That's a great question. I don't know that I can answer. I mean, all the stuff up and down 8th and 12th that has been kind of, eclectic, that's getting really fancy.
Yeah.
I get it. There are people moving here. We've got to have more folks, places for them to live. But some of the soul of what Nashville has always been is kind of going away.
I'll agree with you.
And this people are making decisions that don't really understand the decisions that they're making, the impact they're going to have.
A friend of mine from Portland, Oregon, that had moved here and moved back out there or whatever, she said Nashville put its charm under glass and said, "Come see it."
Right.
And I think a little bit about that's what you're talking about. We took an old building, it was really cool and funky and fun to go in and do something, and then we built a building around it and put a little memory of that building
That's right.
inside it and said, "Come look at how it used to be." And I'm afraid we won't always be like we used to be.
You know, I always think Haslam used to say that, you know, Nashville has kind of gone across the age of most people, right? That when you were little, you were ashamed of kind of the country music and kind of the
yee-haw.
Right. When you were younger, you were ashamed, and so Nashville went through that period where they were kind of ashamed of that history, and then they made decisions that they can't undo.
That's right.
And now we're kind of in the final stage of it where we wish we had it, and we look back and go, "Oh, it was actually a neat place."
Yeah, exactly.
Nashville's still a great place, and we still have a lot going on.
What's the best part of it? Losing some green space and some charm. What's the positive side of the massive growth of our city?
The positive side is the influx of the best and brightest from around the country, and so we're getting, you know, whatever the number is, 100 people a day, whatever that number is a day, And these are people that could live anywhere.
Yeah.
And they're choosing to live where we live.
I would
And you're part of that reason.
Yeah.
And, and then they're improving it.
Yeah.
And Nashville has been really accepting to new people moving here.
Yeah, I agree.
And I hear businesses all the time that move that, again, they had an opportunity, the Alliance Bernsteins and those that could have moved anywhere, not just in the United States, but maybe even in the world.
That's right.
And Nashville was top of the list.
Yeah, I remember reading a book called Walk Across America, and a guy named Peter Jenkins wrote that.
Okay.
And he started in New England, and he was going to go to Canada because of the Vietnam War, and he walked across America, and he ended up settling in Middle Tennessee.
Yeah.
Out of all the states he visited. So there is something special about this place.
I mean, we have live music. We've got, with the exception of not, recently with a bunch of traffic, you could get around, but
Yeah.
it's still not as bad as other cities.
No, it's
our
not. Yeah,
size.
that's really not.
But if you want to go see a play, you can go see a play. You
Yeah.
can go, you can go see Hamilton when it was playing here.
That's right.
You can go to the ballet. We've got a great symphony and
Yeah.
see Predators, Titans. I mean, we have all the things that people want in a large city in a small city feel.
Food's a lot better now.
Yeah.
Food's a lot better.
What was that?
Not quite everything.
All right, what are we missing,
National
Leo?
Sounds are troublemakers for
Oh.
the same reason as LSU athletes.
Okay.
Leo has a propensity towards folks with the mascots he doesn't like.
Got it.
And so they all have to wear proper breeches.
Got it.
So we're just letting you know, and that's where some of his
Okay.
thoughts will come from. Matt, you had a
That's why I'm
question?
wearing this.
Yeah,
I
he's
like
an
it.
Oregon State Beavers fan. Matt,
love
you had a
it.
question.
I just was gonna say something about when you said Nashville chose to forget their history is Fort Negley. I want to bring that up because I still think it's important. Nashville decided, well, we're just gonna let this historic fort, a black African American fort, just pile up with so many homeless people and growth and trees and then they did something about it, which is great, but I feel like they could do more. They could figure out what they need to fix. Maybe they could what they could do is undig most of the site and actually make it a real working fort so people can actually walk around and see what it looked like back in the day.
Interesting. That's interesting.
Instead of it's half buried, and you see these plaques, which is great, but I think there could be more done. I think because, as my dad puts it, his saying is, the North once held the South in the Civil War, and I know that's sort of a gray area, but basically it was the black eye of the South. Basically it was a fort that sort of I know it's ancient history, but I still think
We could honor it a little more. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. Native Nashvilleian?
I agree. And so as a kid, I would go to the old Cumberland Science Museum, which is now the Adventure Science Museum, and drive past it every day.
Yep.
Every time we go there. Not every day, but every time we went. And so I was always super curious, what is this place? What's the fort? And it's one of my favorite places to go. So I encourage everybody, you tell everybody to go see it, and the more people that go, the more they'll continue to take care of it and fix it up. But it's a neat place. I agree.
It's a good point.
Yeah.
Native Nashvilleian, Middle Tennessean.
Yeah.
Questions? I know, Brad, you did some great research on the representative. Can you?
Well, a little bit.
Okay, but do you have anything you wanted to ask or maybe share or with the group about?
Yeah. Well, one particular question, I was actually going to wait till it actually how this progresses, but I'll ask anyway.
Okay.
Yeah. You're from the downtown area, right?
I actually live in Green Hills,
Of
but
course,
yeah.
But you work downtown.
Oh yes.
Yeah. I mean, that's like a very busy area. Yeah. Being around there so much, how do you deal with your personal life? How much free time do you have?
Because you run a business.
Yeah, not a bunch, but I'm an early riser, so I get to spend time with my kids in the morning, and then try to hold Sundays aside. But the hidden silver lining, I guess, of COVID is that it's kind of gotten everybody an opportunity to slow down and reassess what's important. And I'm going to do more. I need to do more. It's we all need to spend more time with people we love.
So you have a very busy life then.
It is, yeah.
Let me throw on the heels of that. Representative, you run a business, you got a family, you got a life yourself.
Yeah, right.
You're a man that lives in the city. What's the toughest part of that for you with your new role as a representative of this district, right? I mean, of the Forest Hills district.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it is balancing that. It's there's a lot of pressure to be everywhere and do everything, and I really enjoy representing this district, but I also don't want my kids to look back and resent me for not having been there for them.
Yeah.
So that's kind of a tough one.
Cool. I believe me, I get that.
Yeah.
I'm going to stay on this line. I said we weren't going to talk about politics, but I'm going to put a big question to you.
Yeah.
Are you done at the representative? Are you going on? Are you moving on other things? You got bigger aspirations?
That's a great question. That is putting me on the spot.
Yeah, I'm going to big time put you on the spot.
Yeah, I mean, I would love to do something else.
You feel called to serve, though?
I do. I have so enjoyed it, and always thought that I'd run for office at some point.
Yeah.
And I tell the story regularly. When I was a kid, Nashville was 300 and something thousand-ish people. We had a huge portion of the populace vote. Right. And as Nashville has grown, fewer and fewer people vote. And I think part of that is that we have politicians running for office, not real people of the community. And so, not that I'm, arrogant enough to think that I'm going to be able to solve all the problems, but I definitely want to try.
Sure.
And the impact that you can have as an elected official is pretty neat. And to be able to be in the room when we're making decisions for what the future of our city and our state looks like has been pretty powerful.
I'm sure it has. That's amazing.
Yeah.
I know you've got a question. Good segue camp there, isn't it, Riley?
Yes. So, Representative, I know you're personally here due to, thanks to Disability Day on the Hill. I want to know, does Disability Day on the Hill actually work in bringing forth a bill?
Yes, absolutely. I mean, there are every representative and senator and person up there wants to help, but they only they have their skill set and their knowledge, and having different days on the Hill where you can come up, Matt can come up and educate us on what the needs are from the rest of the people across the state, from everybody, it matters. And so you having your Disability Day on the Hill, whatever other groups come up and do it, it really matters.
It's awesome.
Because
about this part of the bill for autism and Asperger's, you get a roommate you want to.
So people with Asperger's and autism, tough to get a roommate. John lives with his mom and dad still, right, and wants to live independently. And so he's asking some of the things we're trying to do around here are help guys live as independently as you can. Right?
Yeah.
I mean, that's our goal as human beings, right? And so he's asking, is there things that are going on with you as a representative that are helping that? Is that the correct question, John?
Yeah.
Are there things that are being done at the state level to help that?
I don't think anything's being done at the state level. I know that there's some stuff being done on the metro level to try and work on that. But I mean, that's absolutely something that I'd be willing to work with you on to figure that out. And we can get your input and we can bring other experts in to figure out what needs to
It
happen.
will be time soon, like a couple of years.
Okay.
It's like, well.
John, would it help if I shared with him some of the things we've talked about at a later date and share with him some of the sunflower garden things and some of the things that have benefited you, Rita?
Yeah.
Is that
Yeah.
You okay with that?
Oh, yeah.
I'd love to share that.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I think especially what Joe and Biblical Concepts is doing, it could help a lot of people once it progresses more, especially geared towards more people who have disabilities, more on the lines of autism, being on the neurodiverse spectrum because, some people have disabilities, but it's later down the line as they're older, so it's more like health-wise. For people like, having autism and like more mental disabilities, it's a different, like having autism, it's a different spectrum, it's a different point of view, so there's different things that need to be catered.
Do you want to share your story real quickly? I mean, in a couple of minutes? Do you want to, I mean, how long have you been living here and working with us, and then God's done some amazing things in your life over the last month. You want to share?
Yeah, so like, I moved here to Nashville about, it's going to be almost 2 years, I think, next September or something like this coming September. In a really bad situation. Like my dad and I came from a very abusive household, and I had no idea I had autism until last year. I was finally diagnosed, and I'm being told, you got to be independent. You're going to be 23. You're not independent. You're not this. You gotta. It's either you go back to Pennsylvania or you gotta figure out how to step it up and whatnot. And I was really thankful that I was here at the time because I found connections through Tom, and friends like that are really close to Tom has helped me find a housing development that I am now working my way up. Like, I already know how to cook, clean, stuff like that, but I'm working towards I'm going to be learning how to drive soon. I'm going to be learning how to pay rent soon, eventually learning how to do bills, because those are things I've been pushing and pushing and pushing to learn, because nothing against my housemates, but I want to be on my own, completely on my own. I want to be able to know, like, I know I can do these things, but I want to be fully able to go and say, I can drive, I can do this, and it doesn't matter about my disability. Like, yes, I know I have, like, autism, I have depression, I have anxiety, but I want to make sure I can be like, yeah, but I can do this and this and this and this. And I've been doing great strides, but I think, too, when it comes to things like, having disabilities or anything like that, especially when it comes to being on the spectrum, is that the voices aren't heard as much in a way. I think it's like, because it's just a different point of view, and it's because it's such a variety of things that each point of view is completely different, and it's harder to cater towards these needs that need to be met for some people. But,
Thank you for sharing that. That's
Your
awesome.
statement on the voices aren't heard, that's powerful.
It is
And that's why Disability Day on the Hill matters, is hearing those voices firsthand, matters. So.
I think an interesting piece an adjunct to what Rita was saying is, I'll get you guys in 2 seconds, is that we say that people with a disability, we put everybody in that same bucket. We're all different. That's like saying you're a Nashvilleian. It's like, no, that's a big group of people, very diverse, lots of different interests. And I think one of the things we're finding is we were able to introduce Rita to a group called Biblical Concepts, and helped her with the work she's doing here, have a place to live and transport and eat and get her feet back in a safe place where she can grow at her pace, along with other people that are growing at other paces. I get stuff out of this every day of being here, and so I think we all do, no matter what environment we're in. David, you had a question or a comment?
Yeah, just out of curiosity, how has the pandemic affecting your role as representative?
Oh, that's a great question, David.
So one of the biggest things that I do is help through constituent services. So helping people get unemployment assistance, help people try to get connected with the right people to help find jobs, and the low unemployment assistance that the state of Tennessee does was really compounded during this process. When we had unemployment rates almost 20%. The normal is around 4%. And so you start thinking, and it was almost overnight. And so we had a large number of people that were gainfully employed that went from that to nothing. And it was very tough. And it was tough to hear phone calls from people that had worked 35 years and lost their job and were about to lose their house or lose their car, or and that was very, very tough to try and constantly field the calls get them the assistance. So, well, everybody else was talking about how life had slowed down. Mine actually picked up because it was so busy. Now I didn't have events in the evening because nobody was meeting,
Right.
which was good. But it was a tough period. I mean, it's tough for everybody.
Yeah.
So
Now, has this developed, the constituents program, like you mentioned, has this suddenly developed ever since the pandemic hit us?
no, it was there before. Good question. It just the need wasn't as high. I mean, again, we had 4 times the amount of unemployment. We had people whose businesses had been operating fine for years. They couldn't open because of COVID procedures.
Yeah. Coming back? We opening up?
Yeah,
I think so too.
Yeah, I mean, things are picking up, and I mean, if traffic is an indication,
Yeah.
we're back.
Exactly. Exactly.
This pandemic is probably the worst nightmare this country's ever seen. in my opinion.
I would think so. I mean, I've got young kids, and their reality is you wear a mask and you don't touch, and the lack of physical contact. My mother just recently got her shot, her second shot, and she came over, and so it's March 26th. This was about 2 weeks ago. I hadn't hugged my mom in a year.
Yeah. It's awful.
And
Are you a hugger?
I'm a hugger.
I'm a hugger too,
Yeah.
man. It's
I always ask.
yeah, but I'm a hugger.
I'm a
I sometimes don't, and I'm a hugger.
Yeah.
It's hard.
It is, and I love shaking hands,
Yeah.
and I love
Yeah.
I'm a tapper, and but it's such a weird time to not
It is a
have.
weird time.
And my middle daughter, who is a hugger as well, it just drives her crazy. She
Yeah.
can't touch people. She can't, it's.
And we underestimate what the effect it's having on children. I think we just think, oh, they're resilient. They're kids. I've got an 11-year-old.
Yeah.
He can handle it. And we've had several talks where it's like, no, Dad, this is weird, and we don't
Yeah.
ever talk about it. But this is weird. It's messing with us. We
Sure.
go to school every day and look at each other, and you don't see each other smile, and
Sure.
that's interesting.
My 5-year-old.
May I interject?
Yeah, just one second.
My 5-year-old, when we were in the thick of the online learning,
Yeah.
one day looked and just kind of got angry, and I said, "What is it?" But he's like, "I just want to hug my friends
Yeah.
so much, and I can't." And that was the moment that I realized it was impacting him every day.
That's right.
Instead of it being a relief to see his friends, it reminded him he couldn't hug them
During our formative years,
Yeah.
and we don't know
Right.
what that's going to do for
That's
a
right.
long-term period of time. Yes, sir, Matthew.
I have actually 3 questions, but also what Rita said was very interesting. How do you make decisions how do you make decisions about specific groups, let's say Disability Day on the Hill? That's my first question. What from your perspective, do you think that doing these sort of gatherings, these sort of events, does it, in your end, and does it help get the Tennessee government or the local government, whatever you want to call it, some sort of feedback system, some sort of say, hey, well, this group is experiencing this, and they don't like this, and they want to pass this law.
So let me ask you, how you're asking that is how does he make a decision
How do
based
you-
on something that's on his plate to
How do you make that decision, and how do you know it's the right decision to make?
Oh, boy, that's a great question.
Golly,
Told you.
you always ask the best
I
questions.
told you, man.
I
This is
know.
going to be a tough day.
So how I make decisions? I am a collaborative thinker. I like to get all the people around that are subject matter experts or have some experience in whatever, and ask their opinion. And I think that part of when I was in grad school, one of the things that I learned was not how to learn, or it wasn't about memorization. It was how do you get to your final decision? How do you ask the right questions, and how do you get to the right decision? And so I just ask questions and try to make sure that I have a lot of diverse thought in that process. Coming back around to your second question to that was, does it matter, and do I think it helps?
Well, Well, also to add to that, like, how do you deal with like flack from each decision you make? Because you're in a position of power, and there's always going to be some guy that says, "I disagree with you."
Okay, so let's let him answer that
Yeah.
second one, because I think that's does this stuff matter? Does
Yeah.
the discussion matter? Let's stay there and then go to that third one. I think that's a great.
Yeah,
point.
yeah. I mean, so absolutely matters. I mean, because everybody, every single one of us sitting around this circle has our own set of experiences, and every decision we make is based on those experiences. And something that we think we know and we're 100% right on may be wrong, and your experience may be different than your experience is different than my experience. And so, being involved with other people and other people's experiences helps you make decisions to think outside of your sphere. And so 100%, again, back to your point, Rita, about saying, your voices aren't heard. That's pretty powerful, and that needs to change. And you need to be at the table when more decisions are being made on the future of housing, the future of driving testing, the future of what does assistance look like? Is it helping you understand how to pay your bills, or is it paying your bills? You don't want the latter. You want someone to help you do it on your own.
Yeah.
And if you're not around the table when those decisions are being made, it's going to be left up to somebody else to do it. To your final question about how do you handle the flack from those bad decisions?
Also, how do you handle the flack and like I don't know. I don't know a lot about politics, but I will say the way people behave on certain things. Like, for example, I could be upset that I didn't get to do this.
Right.
Too bad. But some people take that to like. It's their way or the highway.
Sure. So how does he deal with that?
How do you deal with that?
I'm going to be real honest and vulnerable with you. The ones that hurt me the worst are the ones that totally misinterpret my decision and don't give me credit for wanting to make a difference. And there are within politics, people's attention span is pretty small.
Yeah.
And there's a reason that Twitter has become the most popular way to promote and to discuss politics with folks. It's because it boils it down into the smallest number of characters possible. When we vote on a piece of legislation, there's a very good chance that bill could be, 6-7 pages long, right? It could be 800 words. And somebody's going to pull one sentence from that whole bill and say that this bill is about this one sentence. And they make a decision based on that as to whether or not you're for something or against it. And so what I try to do is have the personal relationships with folks to be able to explain my thought process. But at the end of the day, I try to base every vote on how it's going to help you best.
I think that's great.
And knowing that that's what I'm doing, it allows me to
sleep at night.
Yeah, right. Because I'm not trying to personally benefit myself, and I'm not trying to help hurt you. And so knowing that I'm doing those two things, I'll take people that misunderstand a vote and move on.
That's awesome.
Does every bill y'all go to go to the governor here?
Yeah. So bills, it's the same process of how a bill becomes a law in the federal government happens here. It gets heard a couple of different times. It gets voted on through committee. It passes the House and the Senate simultaneously, and then it goes to the governor for signature to become law.
Great question, John. We're getting about to our end. Anybody got some more?
Yeah, one more.
Yes, ma'am.
So it's not really about like the political aspects, but it's more about like your own like personal health and care, like during the whole pandemic and just in life in general. Because I understand you have a very stressful, busy schedule. What do you do for your own personal time to care for yourself or care for your family? Like just
Rita's looking after you over here. That's what she's doing.
I like where your head's at. I do jujitsu, and there is. Once you get past a certain age and stop playing Foursquare, I'm kidding.
Digging at you there over there.
Yeah,
I like
right.
it.
No, but there you rarely sprint. You give 100% of your effort. You never physically exert yourself with every ounce of your being, and Jiu-jitsu you do. And it's such a great release to go and do something for an hour where you are, you're, fighting for not to get choked out. And you can't think about something else. I tried to run, I tried to cycle, and I ended up, for however long I was doing it, thinking about whatever problem I had before I started. And jiu-jitsu is just a complete and total reset. Then you leave and your mind is totally clear and your body is completely exhausted. Everything from your toes to your ears hurt. And anyway, so that's
jiu-jitsu.
Jiu-jitsu.
Great question.
Yeah.
I love it.
I actually have
You got one more?
one more question.
Let's do it.
Is Disability Day on the Hill something you look forward to every year, or is it just something that you have to check off every year?
That's a great question. I actually look forward to it. I look forward to meeting everybody, and so this was a little different. I don't enjoy the Zoom meetings as much. So being totally honest, being totally honest, I didn't really look forward to it this year because I don't like Zoom and I didn't like any of those meetings. But normally, yes, 100%, I look forward to it.
Well, maybe we can do it off the hill. So maybe it's a disability day in some place like this where you can come and we can bring folks in and we can really make it official and bring some other representatives. And
I feel like that's a marketing strategy right now.
well, it may be a little marketing strategy.
I know you too well. You're like,
If the marketing strategy helps others, then we win. We all win. I'm an old marketing guy.
You can help both and it still be good.
That's what we do. That's right.
Don't take this the wrong way. You can like people would run for your seat.
Say it a little further.
Instead of you don't like people that run for your seat.
So if somebody's running against him, does
I'm
he?
talking about when he steps down with tires.
Do you don't like those people?
Somebody runs for your seat.
Yeah.
Oh, good. How do you feel about somebody that might want to come in and take your seat?
This isn't my seat. This is the district seat. I'm just fortunate enough to be able to sit in it for a little while and try to do as good as I can. So
He's doing a good job as a politician answering it that way, John. That's a good thing.
Well, I'm serious. I have no. And there are other people. Like I've had people, pretty much everybody I've ever run against. I have no ill will.
Yeah.
I mean, they're trying to do.
God, that's a great point. Why do we have ill will when both sides are trying to serve the same people? That's what. Why has it gotten to be so? We could really keep going down that subject.
I want to add to what you're saying.
All right.
Just have them I think the world, I know this is not gonna happen, but the whole world peace thing, I feel like, hey, we're all politicians, or we're all doing to try to make the world a better place. So, I know people are gonna disagree, but come on, it's not like life or death, launching nukes over it or something. It's a joke, but you get my point.
Yeah. So why are we so angry over why can't we have civil discourse? I think we've seen the most angry political year in our history of our country.
Exactly. I would agree
and we hope that doesn't continue.
The business of politics has grown to such a huge, to such a big number that those that make a living in politics have a financial interest in politics continuing to grow. And they have realized that the easiest way to get people to talk is out of fear. And so if you're afraid of my decisions or I'm afraid of yours, I'm more likely to show up and vote.
I didn't know. I always assumed, I always thought it was like they just said it so they could pit people against each other. I always thought, but I didn't think. See, my crazy friend Dieter over there, Mr. Government Conspiracy Theory, over there.
Hey, let's keep it out. Let's keep it in the circle, Matt. Let's keep it in the circle.
You should be afraid, Dieter.
Let's keep
I will expose
Matt.
you.
Do I need to go Leo on your
Let's keep it in the circle.
But there's a neat psychological phenomenon in that you actually get more pleasure from your opponent losing than you do for your team winning. So Oregon State wins a game, you get less pleasure than if Oregon State's rival loses. And so I think that carries over with politics. We're all putting on our red and blue jerseys.
But shouldn't
And-
we be united?
Let him finish.
We absolutely should. And that's the point, is
Yeah.
that we should get more satisfaction with government working in the right way, helping all people, than not. And it starts with, I've got to admit that I'm a Democrat and there are Republican members that I want to succeed because what they're doing is good.
Yeah.
And everything the Democrats do is not always right. And we have got to all start from that position, or else everybody's just digging their heels in, and you begin accepting, bad policy and bad decisions, and you've got to challenge yours and your the other side. So
The Republican Party's changed since Trump took over. He called it Trump Party. Then they never said the Republican Party is not Republican Party.
Just changed a lot, huh, John?
Yeah.
John, you watch a lot of politics, don't you? Yeah. I think one of the interesting parts about Nashville is it's a liberal city and a conservative state, and I
Sure.
think that's a really interesting juxtaposition that we all get to live in the middle of.
Yeah.
I would agree.
And I hope that we can become a center for civil discourse because of that.
Yeah.
And I think we're seeing a lot of that happen around here. The charm of the South, and back to the old South that we were talking about, the
Right.
old Nashville. Y'all, thank you. Great,
Yeah.
absolutely great questions. Couldn't be any better. Representative, thank you so much for swimming across
Thank you.
traffic and making it today. It
my
means
pleasure.
the world for you to be here today.
I'll do it anytime.
John, as we irreverently kind of close this thing out a little bit, so please don't be offended. But John, how do we close this?
Big ass taco.
Big ass tacos. There we go. This is another wrap. All right. Okay. Thank you. Thank you very much. We really appreciate it.